Yo, what's up? I'm Snowman. Glad to have you guys here. Today I'm going to spoil you a movie named Into the Dark Down. If you're ready, let's get started. The story started on Friday. Before the long holiday for 3 days, the sky was overcast because of the rain clouds. Jane, who just finished work, she plans to fly to her ex-fiancé to reconcile. As she was going down the elevator, a man went down the elevator with her. He tells her that his name is Guy. The two of them talk to each other. Guy looks very friendly. He invites her to talk smoothly. Elevator wall. Jane noticed something. It was a scratch depicting a person in a square box. It's like someone is stuck in an elevator. Although it seemed strange, the two of them were not surprised. Suddenly, the elevator had a problem. It banged loudly, the lights slowly dimmed, and the elevator stopped working. The buttons in the elevator didn't work. Can't make calls, emergency bell doesn't work. Also, their cell phones had no signal and they were stuck in the elevator. They tried to open the elevator, make a call for help, find a way out, but to no avail, because the only thing that answered them was silence. They are the last two people in this building, and worse. It was a long weekend, and they had no way of knowing when someone would come to help. They had to wait until Tuesday, which takes more than 80 hours or 3 days ever. In the elevator, there was no food, only snacks, little water and wine. They have been stuck together for quite some time. The two started talk and play with each other. They get along well. Guy looks like a very good person. He's good-natured, and also be kind. When Jane was thirsty, he gave him some water, and when she needed to pee, he volunteered to let her pee on his shirt in what he saw as normal. He didn't hate her at all, but she didn't do as he suggested. She chose to pee in her own water bottle. Then she drew more pictures on the wall. She drew a picture of herself in the box, with another man who appeared to be a man. It was a picture of the two of them. After a while, Guy told Jane that he had seen her in the building a few times and that he liked her too. Jane looked a bit happy, and they both find something to do to pass the time, whether it's throwing snacks, drawing, recording video, telling stories in a strange sex. Jane said she had sex with her boyfriend in the library. During college, she and her boyfriend will read romance novels. Both will read aloud in the romantic period to each other. It made her extremely emotional. When Guy turned, he told her that he did not tell a story, so he made up a story instead. While he was working on a project working with a very beautiful woman, he was crazy about her and very passionate about her. When there was a party, he and she had a private party in the car and she did that for him. When talking about sex, Guy starts to get emotional, which Jane knows because his body is facing the elevator wall. He wanted to hide something that had woken up under his pants. Then both let their desires lead them. They turned boredom into passion. The sound of happiness echoed from the elevator. After the heat was extinguished, Guy really likes Jane. He said Jane was so awesome that he wanted to be serious with her, date her. But Jane doesn't think the same. Jane says sex and Guy are fun, but she still loves her ex-fiancé. She wants to reconcile with him. For her, Guy, it's just a one-night stand. She told him not to think too much. But the guy is very sad. Even though he was close to her, he felt that he was too far away from her. That changes his face that used to be cute and friendly turned into a scary face. Then he told the truth, that he's not named Guy, his name is John, and he hasn't just come to work here, he's been working for a long time. He is the security guard at this building. He is crazy about Jane and followed her life. He looked at her through a surveillance camera, take a picture of her, and he knows everything about her. It was John who planned the story, getting stuck in the elevator. He made the elevator stop to keep himself close to Jane, got to know her. When everything seems to be over, he was out of control, furious, and his emotions exploded and he calmed down. He took the elevator key, activated the elevator again to let Jane go. But Jane, who had just lost herself to the guard, the man who held her, deceived her. She would call the police and put him in jail. When John heard that, he didn't let her leave. Then Jane accidentally breaks the key. While fight with John, it caused the elevator to turn off again. The white light had now turned a terrifying red. Jen is furious that she won't get out of the elevator, so she attacks John and slams her heels into his face. Blood spread all over the floor. When she went to see if he was dead or not, he hit her head on the ground and they both lost consciousness. When they woke up, John said he had a friend who was a guard, but that friend probably wouldn't come to this building, so he probably got out of the elevator on Tuesday and he didn't want to go to jail. If going to jail, killing Jane would be better. but Jane said he kidnapped her. Hearing that, John had been in love with Jane for a long time, was furious. He strangled her and he smashed the elevator vigorously to vent. He took a gift bag and shook it, causing Jane to tremble in fear. John unpacks the present. It's a shirt that Jane will buy in order to reconcile with his ex-fiancée. So John put it in and he forced her to unpack another box. She hurried to do as he commanded. The box contains a cigar, scissors, and a lighter. John liked it so much he immediately lit a cigar. He puffed smoke in her face, poked the cigar in her mouth and sat leaning against her. Then say Happy Valentine's Day and kiss her shoulder. After a while, he apologized and asked her for a chance. John has calmed down a bit, but still there is frustration, some anger. He smashed a light bulb attached to the wall, causing the light to turn on, thus increasing the brightness in the elevator. He successfully climbed up the elevator wall and opened the elevator ceiling. He tells Jane that he will leave and come back to help her. But she refused. She would go out on her own and come back to help him. She definitely won't leave him. When she can get out, she'll go on a date with him. When John heard that, he agreed. Jane successfully climbed out of the elevator as she climbed the stairs to find the door. She gave John a middle finger. Make John angry to arrange another round. So he threw his belongings, stomped on the elevator, and tied his clothes together, trying to use it to climb out of the elevator. Jane rushes up the stairs as fast as she can, until she was close to the door, but the door was opposite the stairs. Crossing the door was not easy. If she misses just a bit, will have to fall down and die. John was able to hang his clothes on the top beam. He climbed up and hurried after Jane up and near her. Jane hurriedly opened the door, but it wasn't wide enough for her to get out. As John gets closer because he is both agile and strong, until he got close to her, he grabbed her and pulled her back into the elevator, and they both lost consciousness. Jane wakes up. She tried to light a fire to get the fire alarm to work. The fire brigade will come to the rescue. When John woke up, Jane kicked him and tied his arms and legs with clothes. As soon as the fire alarm works, water gushes out. John asks her what to do next. She went to pick up scissors and a lighter, and took off his pants. Because he caused her a lot of pain, whether following her life, deceiving her, hurting her and having sex with her. If she could manage his genitals, it would have been great, but in the end she didn't. But decides to use the phone to record a clip of John confessing everything as evidence, and wait for someone to help. Jane is very cold and fierce in herself. John pleads guilty to everything. He also said that his job duties used to be good, but he accidentally hit a woman and died. Her body was crushed to death in a car accident, which that woman is having sex with him in the car at the party. The story about sex he told was not fiction, but it was a true story that he didn't want to tell because the ending was not pretty. Prison changed his life. As a result, he had to work as a guard like today, and he chose Jane because Jane made his workplace alive. He really liked Jane. He wanted to give her some love, but he knew right now that he was humble and she probably didn't care about him. Monday, and then another guard brought his girlfriend to building. He told his girlfriend to sit and wait, but he goes to find John and he finds that the elevator is stuck, so he hurries to help. While Jane is in a hurry, John tried to untie himself. The guard hurried to find a tool to pry the door until he saw Jane. He tried to slide the elevator down to match the door for safety, but when he turned around again, Jane was gone. The voice that spoke to him was John. John lures the king to have his friend poke his head into the elevator. The top is in the elevator, the bottom is outside. Then John used the key his friend sent him to open the elevator. He grabbed his friend's arm for the elevator to cut off his body. Within a few seconds, the elevator had cut the guard's body in 2 parts. Jane was shocked and terrified, and she was beaten unconscious by John. John carried Jane and put it in the back of the car, and then he went in and destroyed the evidence inside the building. He disorganized the pieces of his guards in a bag. The lower and upper halves are deformed. Looks terrifying in a small bag. Then he threw his friend's corpse into the elevator compartment. Afterward, John fixed the towel, changed into a guard and went out to delete the footage from the surveillance cameras. Then he accidentally meets his friend's girlfriend. When she was about to leave the building, John quickly ran up to her for kill her like his friend. Then he threw her body into the elevator and said, "Hey man, your boyfriend came to see." After that, John drove into a dark, lonely alley. At the end of the alley there is a large trash can. He poured oil into the trash, then opened the trunk of the car to see Jane's soulless body. He will burn her along with the evidence. As he threw the evidence into the trash, Jane got up and hit him before escaping into the car and driving away. But the outrage that John did can't let go. So she drove back at high speed. John's no escape, so he jumped into the trash can. The force of the car's impact crushed John's body. Jane got out of the car and looked into the trash to find that John's condition was very bad. Not as handsome and sexy as the first. Jane smokes a cigar and looks at the man who did her evil in a worse state than a street dog. She turned around and smoked cigar and threw it into the oil-covered bin. Her gaze gazed at the blazing fire that burned the wicked man's body with satisfaction. And this movie received a 6.4 rating from IMDb critics.